Thank you all for joining today's call, today's Restful Resistance call. This is our monthly series focused on power building and self-care. We meet every third Monday, creating a space to pause, reflect, and strategize around how we can lead and sustain ourselves in challenging times. Today's conversation is about sister self-care during the holidays. So I am super excited to know who is in the room. If you can, please let us know your name and your city by just dropping it in the chat. We just want to know who's joining us today. And if you're outside of California, you can also drop your state in the chat. So today's agenda, we are going to start off with a powerful encouragement session from Dr. Barbara Perkins. Then we'll flow into protecting your peace and your purse, the fireside chat with Dr. Lynn Richardson and myself. Super excited. And then after that, we will have a moment for question and answer. And then we'll have a joy practice activity, followed by announcements and our closing. So before I bring Dr. Perkins to the stage, I would just like to give a brief introduction. Dr. A. Perkins is an executive leadership coach, global thought leader, author, and president and CEO of the International Black Women's Public Policy Institute. She is one of 6 co-founders of the Los Angeles African American Women's Public Policy Institute, and she leads their global board of 22 women. She founded the Dorothy I. Height Global Leadership Academy, which has graduated 85 international leaders from 8 countries. Dr. Perkins authored 8 books on marriage, grief, betrayal, prayer, and joy. Her book, Restoration, 7 Promises of God. Her testimony of healing stage 3 breast cancer is one in high demand. Launching in early January of 2026, her first handbook, Legacy of Love, How to Plan Your Own Funeral with Grace. Dr. Perkins is a United Nations Peace Ambassador and Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award recipient who champions purpose-driven leadership. Please welcome Dr. Perkins for our Pour Into Your Sista segment, which is our encouragement session for Restful Resistance.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to Kelly and the leadership of the California Black Women's Collective. You know, this is home for me. I've been in Atlanta for 7 years, but a big chunk of my heart is still in Los Angeles and up and down the state of California. But I'm just happy to be here and to just open up a little bit and share about 5 minutes of thoughts. I wrote some notes down so that I would stay on time. But I just want to first say, look at the background, and we didn't plan it. There's about 5 or 6 of us probably with the same background. So that tells you we're in sync already. One of the things that I also want to call out during this time, this is a season where there's some expectations of us, you know, and the expectations are that we have this mega joy, like we put on our super joy capes and we just walk around singing and being as joyful as we can. And all of that is good and all that is true. But you know, Black women, we are just carrying so much. We are just carrying so much. Much of it is just by our own design, because we've chosen to call things to ourselves. So we're going to give ourselves grace for that. We're good learners and fast learners, and we repeat what we see from our past. So our moms and our aunties and our grandmothers who carried a lot, we just decided that, you know, that we could carry even more than that. So what I want to talk about just briefly is that this thing called rest, you know, rest. What if rest was not considered a luxury? And sometimes when we think about rest, we think, oh my God, that's when I'm able to, right? I'm going to get me some of that. But just what if rest as a form of resistance was really the call? meaning this is our declaration of saying that our lives matter, our peace matters, that our well-being matters. That when we talk about rest, that's what we're saying. That these things are the things that will shore us up and sustain us. As a life coach and a spiritual life coach, I've spent a lot of years, 25 to be exact, working with women, helping them to reclaim themselves from exhaustion and the edge of depletion. Something I know far too well because I was one of them. And at times I still get myself too close to that edge. In this intention of helping, sometimes I still call more to myself than I need to. So in these 3 or 4 minutes, what I want to do is give you maybe a few little things that you can do in this season as a jump start into your 2026. One of the big things about rest, you don't have to go far away. You don't have to get on a plane or a train or a boat to go find some rest. You can do it by practicing stillness. Just stop. And that doesn't require any big moves. It means that somewhere in your home, you will just not pass out like a lot of us do when it's time to go to bed. There's a running joke in my family, like I need 30 minutes to get ready for bed because it's a thing that I practice, right? Like I'm gonna pick out my pajamas. My 7-year-old grandson said the other night, "Oh, Omi, are they new pajamas?" And I was like, "No, they were just at the bottom and it's Christmas and they're red and I'm gonna put them on." But going to bed, even just getting ready for bed, practicing that your intention is that you're telling your body, I am going to get rest. And then deciding that you're not going to take the laptop to bed with you, that you're not going to take the phone and plug it in the outlet that's closest to the bed, that instead you're going to put it in another room so you can hear it if there's an emergency. But you're not tempted to pick it up every time you hear the little ping, 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 right? That's an intention to be still. Sometimes if you need a little help, there's calming teas that you can drink that allows your body, when you're drinking the tea, you're actually telling your subconscious mind, we're drinking this calming tea and we're gonna take it just before bed and we're gonna lay down and rest. Having that internal conversation with yourself, maybe even doing something like having some water. I have these little, very small water, I don't know what you call them, waterfalls. And I have them in several rooms in my house. So any room you go into, you hear the sound of water. So you don't have to go to the beach. You can actually hear that. You could create the sound that you need. And then you may have something like chimes, on the door that goes to my backyard, I have a chime. So I go in and I hear it and I come out and I hear it. And there's a little bell, a string of bells during the holidays. You've seen those little bells, the little round balls on them. You can actually take those and turn that into a tool that you use, right? This isn't corny stuff. This is real stuff that works. You are literally telling the sounds, replace something inside. We don't have language for it, but the calming of the sounds, it calms the stuff inside that's trembling. They quiet what has been screaming. Because internally, our body is telling us, I'm tired. I need a little rest. And it doesn't mean you need 3 days. It just means that a practice every day, a simple 10-minute practice a day of stillness. Then there's the gift of touch. What God has given us, our own hands, where you can simply touch your own body. I mean, if you did that right now, like what I'm doing right now, when I touch my body, it makes me smile. The gift of touch, where you touch your heart space, where you actually cup your face, this right here. When you do that with an intention, and you're saying to yourself, hey, Barbara, You've had a good day today. It was full. You did 7 things instead of 5. You did good. Now you can rest. And you're cupping your face and you're talking to yourself just like you were talking to a sister friend. And you were holding her face. That's the gift we can give ourselves. And then there's other things like music, like soft music without words, right? Because the words distract you. Soft, gentle music, the power of scent and sound, lavender, sage, burning a candle, when it fills the room. Have you walked into a spa and it just, as soon as you step in, you smell and you just, oh, you just exhale. You remember how to breathe. Well, you can do that at home. You can do that at home. You can walk into a room that you set up for yourself, or space, a corner. I have a little prayer altar, and on it I have all kinds of incense and things and candles because I love good smell. So when you do that, you're saying to yourself, this is my moment for me. Let me remember how to breathe, because all day long, as things are coming our way, we hold our breath a lot. You don't even think about it. Something happens and and for that minute or so, we've held our breath. When you introduce smell and sound and calmness and stillness, you're telling your body, hey, breathe. Hey, relax. Get ready for rest. And then there's a couple of books I want to call out for you in these last couple of minutes. One classic one is called Practicing the Presence. Little, small, easy to read book. Practicing the Presence. I wish I knew the author, but I can't remember at the moment. The heart of the teaching of that book is that God is always present. Always. And so often we know that with our heads, but we don't demonstrate the knowing of that by stepping into his promise. And one of the promises is, I'll take care of it. If you are tired, it's okay to rest. And everything will fall into place. If you want a good small read, that's one. Then there's another book that I would call out. It's called The Seat of the Soul. And this, the message throughout that book is that power is internal. And so often we look externally for power, right? Who did the most? Who got the most? Who excelled the highest? No, but the power is really internal. And really, for Black women, the more we give, it feels like the more we want to give. But we always skip over ourselves. So I would ask you, in closing, I would ask you, when was the last time you gave yourself a gift? You know, like the gift that makes you light up when you give it to your girlfriend and you see her face just, when was the last time you gave yourself that kind of gift? Not shoes, not a new handbag. I mean, like, a gift that just really makes your inside feels good. Like when someone buys you that special gift and they really had to think about it. Like they had to remember that that's the thing that you really like. Well, guess who knows what you like more than anybody else? You. So I would offer in this season, think about what internal gift you can give to yourself. And then I'm going to close with this. Don't forget prayer. Prayer is not anything that requires a degree or fancy words or poetry. Prayer is a simple, private conversation with your God. And it could be as simple as, God, I need you. God, do you understand? God, I need some rest. Can you just sit with me for a minute? God, is there an answer that you could give me for this thing? Because I don't have one. God, what is my next move? And then, God, as we come towards the end of this year, what should I be teeing up for? Is it getting my house in order? Is it getting my finances in order, Dr. Richardson? What is it, God, that I need to be teed up for? And can you help me? It could be as simple as that. So I pray for you that your 2026 would be simply amazing. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Perkins, for blessing us with this encouragement session. I hear you loud and clear. Being intentional about being still is going to be my focus for 2026. So thank you so very much. We appreciate you for coming to the stage and bringing us this beautiful session. And okay, there we are. Thank you again. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Perkins. We are going to get started on our fireside chat, protecting your peace and your purse. And we are going to have an amazing conversation with Dr. Lynn Richardson, who, if you do not know Dr. Lynn Richardson, I have the honor of introducing her to you. I'm just going to read you a little about her. Dr. Richardson is a nationally acclaimed financial expert, author, ordained minister, and entertainment executive, known for helping individuals achieve financial stability and personal harmony. Named one of Urban Influence magazine's 20 hottest influencers in America, she blends humor, clarity, and tough love to make financial literacy accessible to all. Her best-selling book, Living Check to Monday, and her signature teaching tools have empowered millions. With nearly 30 years in financial services, Dr. Lynn has been featured on Good Morning America, Fox Business, BET Networks, The Steve Harvey Show, and in Essence and Jet Magazine. She serves as president and CEO of MC Light's Hip Hop Sisters Foundation and president and COO of Sunny Girl Incorporated, overseeing global empowerment programs and scholarship initiatives that have awarded over 1 million. A former top-ranked mortgage executive, she created the widely used mortgage approval plan and continues to educate underserved communities through her radio show, The Millionaires Roundtable. Dr. Lynn is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority and a respectable leader in financial empowerment. If you can please help me welcome Dr. Lynn Richardson to the stage. Thank you. Let me bring myself up with you. How are you, Dr. Richardson?
I am fantastic and feeling so warm and cozy with that wonderful, wonderful opening. We got in and all seeing all of our backgrounds all the same. I see all the love, all the love. Wow, what a blessing. What a blessing and an honor and a privilege to be here.
Yes, well, thank you again for joining us. We are truly honored to have you here for today's session. Protecting your peace and your purse is the topic for today's fireside chat. And I'm just going to start off with a question to ask you, when you do think about protecting your peace, what does that truly mean to you? And a two-part question, when in your own life did that lesson become real?
Wow, I'm so thankful for this question. And I'm probably going to go a little bit off of the normal pathway of what this question means for a lot of people. We're living in a time where the world around us is just really unbelievable, is the word that I would just give it all. Unbelievable, but yet it is still real. And for many, when they hear the term, or when they embrace the term, or when they adopt the term protecting peace, it often means cutting off. It often means, sometimes it even means projecting. Sometimes it often means, those experiences that we've had in the past, never facing those again, or never encountering those again. But I'd like to just take a little bit of what we just heard tonight, and that is prayer, and really, really giving it all to God. And so when you think about what God has told us about peace, there's a peace that surpasses all understanding. And that's the peace that I choose. And a peace that surpasses all understanding doesn't need protecting. If you think about protection puts us often in a place, especially as Black women, it puts us sometimes in survival mode. It kind of makes us look around and, see who's coming, and it kind of puts up blocks. But as Black women, we have certainly taken on the weight of the world. We are nurturers, we are providers, we are leaders. We take care of everybody. Some of us we're Big Mama, we're Medea, we're the auntie, we're everything to everybody. And so I would actually like to use the term choosing peace. I choose peace, because oftentimes when I am not in peace, it has been my own choosing. It has been me seeing the handwriting on the wall and still choosing something that wasn't good for me anyway. It has been being in the middle of circumstances or relationships that did not serve me. And somewhere in my nurturing heart and somewhere in my nurturing mind, I think it's okay. Well, maybe I can make it work, or maybe I can pray it away. So I like to embrace the term choosing the peace. Choosing this peace that surpasses all understanding, that really needs no protection. And in the Bible, in Exodus 14, when God's chosen people were trying to get away from Pharaoh, and instead of going into protection, the word literally says in Exodus 14 and 13, it says, "But Moses told the people, 'Don't be afraid, just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. Those that harm you, you see today, will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. You just be still.'" Now, we just heard a message about stillness. We just heard a great, great, great understanding of what that means. And it sometimes it means choosing our peace means being still. And oftentimes when we're facing the holidays, and maybe there's that quote unquote toxic family member, or maybe there's that space that we go into. And I'll tell you, when I chose my peace, I chose to be present and simply to be still. Now, being still for me meant being still in who I am, saying no and meaning it, saying no with a smile, saying no and not feeling guilty afterwards, saying no, I'm not going to do that, or no, I don't want to talk about that, or no, this is not going to happen in my space. And of course, everybody around you, they get all in an uproar. Oh my God, she said no. And let me tell you something else about no. No is a complete sentence. It requires no explanation. And so when I think about protecting my peace, I choose to say, I am choosing my peace that is already there, that is already present, that is omnipotent, it is omnipresent, it is everywhere all the time. And God has told me to be still in it. So that's what I would say about that particular part of the question. What I would also say is, not only is this been something in my family. For example, sometimes we've grown up in situations. I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother was 75 years old, cleaning homes for wealthy people, putting me through college. She taught me to go to school, get a good education, get a good job, go to church on Sunday, wear clean underwear in case you get hit by a bus. She taught me all of those things. but she didn't teach me a whole lot about money. So as I was growing up and getting my education and getting degrees, had a very, very close relationship with Grandma B, and she kind of spoiled me a little bit. And so when I'm around other family members, sometimes there may be a bit of envy. Sometimes there may be, folks kind of talking. And I find that in those days when I would try to counter that, in those days when I would try to explain that, or in those days when I would try to defend that, I wasn't protecting my peace at all. I was getting engaged in a back and forth war that didn't belong to me. So choosing peace sometimes is mean choosing to say nothing. Choosing peace is choosing to be still. Choosing peace is knowing that someone else's battle, someone else's problem, someone else's pain, someone else's envy, someone else's challenge, that doesn't belong to me. Let you stay that over there with you. Let that stay over there with you, and I'm going to choose my peace.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. I love how we're starting the tone of this conversation, leading from or pulling from Dr. Perkins of the intentionality. And as we talk about financial holiday stress, it sounds like it all starts with being intentional. So thank you for that. So the holidays, as we're here in the holiday season, financial stress, they can be joyful. The holidays can be joyful, but they can also be emotionally heavy. So what do you think is a quiet burden? And it sounds like you touched on it a little bit earlier, but is a quiet burden that many women, especially Black women, carry during the season that we don't often talk about?
Well, I think this one is, pretty much widespread, is that we get into this season, and this season is associated with family. There's a season is associated with closeness, but this season is also associated with spending money. And sometimes that is spending money that we don't have. So there's this burden to take on to take on the weight of the cooking, to take on the weight of pulling everybody together, to take on the weight of, all the Christmas presents and the decorations and all of these things. And we don't necessarily speak up. And so here's another place where we get to choose our peace. We get to choose peace. And the first way to choose peace is to tell the truth. You see, anxiety comes from being in a place of fear. Anxiety comes when we're not fully present and telling the truth. And it might be saying to our family members, hey, yes, we're going to get together, but I don't have the budget this year, or the budget isn't available this year for the family trip, or the budget isn't available this year to feed 100 people. Maybe everybody has to bring a dish, or how about everybody chip in $50 so we can go and get all those dishes that everybody likes? And why don't we all pitch in together and cook? Because there's a business deal that I'm working on that's having me up, or maybe I'm studying in school, or maybe I'm learning another trade, or maybe AI has taken over at my job and I'm learning how to do my processes. So the time that I would have spent maybe 3 or 4 weeks preparing for the holiday, I may have only 3 or 4 days. So it really comes with, again, choosing peace. What is the truth? Because here's the truth. 1 + 1 = 2. And if all the holiday spending adds up to 10, then guess what? We've blown our peace. We don't have to protect our peace from anybody except ourselves, in choosing to be the truth, and choosing to say the truth, and then choosing to be okay with everyone adjusting to that truth around us.
Yes, and I agree. And from your earlier question, you had mentioned how no is a complete sentence. And
Yes.
oftentimes we don't say no because it is the holiday season and we're in a joyful space and we want to be givers, but like you said, the intentionality and starting off with choosing how we spend our holiday and how we spend our funds and how we spend our times. I love how you spoke on that too. It's not just the funding, is the time of where you can spend it, because time is expensive too. So thank you for that. So you're known for helping people face financial truths with courage. Why do emotional and financial stress feel so intertwined during the holidays? And what is one gentle step that women can take if she feels overwhelmed right now?
So again, I'm going to go back to something that Dr. Perkins said, and it all centered around stillness, choosing ourselves, touch, and prayer. And so I would say I would start with prayer, and I would start with writing. I keep a journal. Actually, I keep several journals. I have every journal that I've ever written in, going all the way back now about 20 years. So yeah, so 2005, maybe even 2004, I have journals. And as I go through, and if I look back through my journals, and I've often, when I've had, groups of women for events, I'll go back and I'll look at a journal from 2006, and what I'm writing in the journal is manifesting today. I'm writing my prayers, I'm writing my thoughts, I'm writing my fears, I'm writing my dreams, and then I'm writing the future that I see for myself. So it's pretty amazing to see what I wrote in 2006, that it's come to fruition in 2022, 2025, whatever the year is. So thoughts disentangle themselves when they pass through our fingertips. And the Bible tells us to write the vision and make it plain, because when it's all up here, it all kind of starts to, get muddled together and all these different things. But I would say, and I would challenge, and I would encourage during this holiday season to write. What are those thoughts? Okay, then let's write. Who are the people that I'd like to spend my time with? Who are the people that I'd like to spend a little more time with? And who are the people that I'd like to spend a little less time with? Because let's face it, there are some people that for many of us in our families that are going to be around that we don't want to spend a whole lot of time with for whatever reason, maybe because of past trauma, maybe because of past drama, maybe because of differences in lifestyle or whatever. And so we get to write those things out, and in choosing our peace and seeing these thoughts that are in our head, we give ourselves clarity, and we also give ourselves permission. What I would also say, some ways to, kind of diffuse that, is to be okay with what happens and know that God has already given us the courage. You see, there are a couple of things, and this is not in the Bible, but I refer to it often, the serenity prayer. God, grant me the wisdom. First of all, grant me the courage to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. So accepting what I cannot change, right? And then making the choice to change the things that I can. I can choose to be present. I can choose to spend money. I can choose not to spend money. I can choose to say yes. I can choose to say no. And then the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And I think I started that out. Grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And then just walk into the season. So here's the other thing that happens. Again, the reason we have these things in our head, but the truth is, if I choose me, if I choose my peace this holiday season, what's the worst that can happen? Nobody's going to come and chop off an arm or a leg. Now, there may be a few people who are teed off, or, well, who does she think she is? But guess what? What other people think about you is none of your business. Praise and blame is all the same. So you may as well live the life, choose the peace that you want for yourself, and let everybody else figure it out on their own. And if they want to have a discussion, we can have a discussion with a smile. The other thing about this is, sometimes protecting peace, it sometimes gets a little bit transformed into not dealing with conflict. Yes, sometimes we do have to deal with conflicts. Yes, sometimes we do have to address a situation or address something that may have happened in the family with a family member. And guess what? It's okay for us to show up as our true selves and then exit whenever we're ready to. So I just think it's all about choosing our courage and choosing the stillness that God has given us to face it all and to grow and to love and to tell the truth through it all.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I just want to say, James, I do see that your hand has been raised. I'm not sure if it was an accident or not, but we will hold questions until the end. Just wanted to be sure to acknowledge you. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. You said one of my favorite prayers, the serenity prayer. It's gotten me through many hard decisions and hard commitments. So thank you. I love that prayer. And I want to now just go in a little bit into some of the practices that you teach about in a lot of your ministry as you talk about finances. You teach the 10-10-30-50 method as a pathway to peace and discipline. And if you can first just explain what the 10-10-30-50 method is to our audience, and then how this simple framework can become a year-round practice for protecting our financial and emotional well-being.
Yes, absolutely. So for every dime that we get in this place in life where we have money, we don't have money. We get a little bit, and then we don't have it, or we get the raise and then we raise our expenses. So if we can just kind of be consistent, no matter where we are, no matter how much we have, no matter how much we don't, I think if we apply the 10-10-30-50, we can get to an even ground. And so the first 10% of every dollar we tithe. That's what I do personally. For some, that means giving. For me, it is personally tithing to my church. I'm a member at California Worship Center. And so I believe in pouring in a seed into the house where I receive spiritual covering and spiritual nourishment. So the first 10% is to tithe. And I started tithing when I was broke. I started tithing when I had a big old fat 6-figure salary, but my check stopped up here. My bills kept going all the way down here. So I started tithing when I was broke, because I realized it wasn't like if I kept the tithing money, I was straight. I was broke either way. So I started tithing, so at least I could have God on my broke side when I prayed, because clearly I wasn't doing the right thing. So I think that, good givers are great getters, and having the peace and having the discipline and having the faith really to tithe was a great big first step for me. And I remember, so that's if it's $100, then we're talking about 10. If it's $1,000, we're talking about 100. And then I kind of put it in my head this way: if I have $1,000 and I tithe 100, I'm left with $900, and I'm going to do what I have to do with that 900. What if I had only got 900 in the first place? Right? So we'll make do with whatever we get. So I would just take that first 10% right off the top. The second 10% is for saving and investing, and not just saving for a rainy day, like grandmamas and big mamas all taught us to save something in case of an emergency. We also want to save for a come up. We also want to save for when the stock market is on sale, when you can buy stocks for a lower price and watch them increase, or when you can buy real estate for a lower price and then make that investment and watch it increase. So we want to save. In the Bible, Joseph stored a fifth. So that's 20%. So during the season of abundance, he stored a fifth. So when the famine came, there were resources available, and so much so that he eventually met back with his brothers and so on. And so for all too often, during the years of abundance, we go and buy more, we spend more, we buy bigger, we get bigger houses, we get bigger cars, we expand our budgets. And so if we start to kind of constrict that, then we can see some peace during the famine, and during times when they are laying off hundreds of thousands of people, at a time. So the first 10% you tithe, the next 10% you save, the next 30% is cash, or I would say a separate debit card or a separate account for incidentals. So this is going to be for groceries, gas, hair, nails, all of the incidentals, all of the things that you just have to get. And I often say, if it doesn't fit, get rid of it, right? And this is to help us avoid a spending addiction, which is what we have when we go to the grocery store for toothpaste and walk out with $179.47 worth of stuff we don't need, talking about it was on sale. That was not on sale for us. So that 30% helps us to avoid that space that we can kind of get into. We'll spend the money even though we don't have it. So if we've got a controlled amount, we can start to have some control and some power over that. And then the remaining 50% stays in your checking account for your bills. Now, what happens here, you either have more than enough money or not enough money. If you have more than enough money, that's not a license to go buy more stuff. Now it may be time to pay off some debt, because debt is the middleman between us and our wealth. Because when we're paying interest to other people, they're making money. So we want to eliminate them and earn the interest ourselves, and build our own financial empires for ourselves, our families, and our communities. If there is also additional money available, maybe it's time to start a business, or maybe it's time to make sure we fund our estate plan. I want to talk about that a little bit later. If there's not enough money, so now we're looking at, here's the amount of money I used to make, or here's the amount of money where I am, and I don't have enough money for my bills. Well, let me say something. Faith is good. Prayer is good, but faith without work is dead. So we're going to honor the laws of mathematics, and we're going to start to subtract. So when I was in this situation, again, college educated, making good money, and finally one day looked at my budget, and I did not have enough money to pay for everything that I was spending. So I took my kids out of private school and I put them in the free school in the neighborhood where I purchased a home specifically for the school district. Then I had to drive back and forth to take them to cheerleading class. They were all-star cheerleaders traveling all around the world. I took them out of the paid cheerleading, put them in the free cheerleading at the free school. Then they were in dance class. I took them out of the paid dance class and put them in a free dance class at the free church, in the free ministry down the street from my house. So again, starting to really adjust some of those things. And then what do you say to the members of your sorority? What do you say to your clubs and Jack and Jill and the Links? Let me tell you what I said. I said, I can't afford it. And see, a lot of times we don't speak up because we're afraid. We've got this image and we come from a history of not having. So when we get the opportunity to have it, we show the world that we have it with furniture and jewelry and keeping up with the Joneses. But let me explain something. Rich people stay rich because they act poor, and poor people stay poor because they act rich. And poor people stay poor acting rich in front of other poor people. And that's just not wisdom. So I think it all comes down to, once again, choosing. Because a lot of the things that could, quote unquote, interrupt our peace are things that we volunteer for ourselves. And I think if we really, really stopped and prayed and looked at the truth and just asked ourselves what's the truth, then we can start to feel the power. Because the Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear. And that's all what anxiety and depression and everything, it comes from fear. But he has given us the power, love, and a sound mind. And a sound mind means that we're going to tell the truth and do the math.
Okay, thank you. I'm sitting up here taking notes and trying to make sure I get that 10-10, 30-50 method down, because I feel like it's extremely important, especially to carry that through the year. And then when we do get to the holiday season, we have now trained ourselves to be more mindful about spending, more mindful of where we say yes, more mindful of where we say no. So thank you for breaking that down. So you also talk about the debt snowball method. I wanted to throw that in here. I was listening to a couple of your podcasts, and this, I felt like, was a way for us to reclaim one small victory at a time, because there may be the 10-10-30-50 method may be too much for some people all at once. But let's talk about the debt snowball method and why this approach is so powerful for women, especially if they feel overwhelmed, and how it can help restore a sense of peace throughout the year.
So the debt snowball method is basically taking all of your power and attacking one thing. So if you have an extra $1,000 a month, you want to pay off your bills. Instead of taking that $1,000, you want to pay off your credit card bills, something like that. Instead of taking that $1,000 and spreading it over, let's say 4 or 5 credit cards, 200 here or 100 here or what have you, you take the whole entire 1,000 and you put it on one debt. Because if you have a debt that's, let's say $3,000, and you have an extra $1,000 every month, then that debt will be paid off in 3 months. Now you've got a victory. I've gotten rid of that debt. Now you take the money that you were using for that debt, the regular payment, plus the extra $1,000 that you were giving it, and now you take all of that and put it on the next debt. So let's say the next debt was $5,000. Now that debt is going to be paid off in 5 months. So by using the debt snowball method, by completely 100% putting your focus and your attention on that one debt, taking all your extra money, taking that and paying it off, and then taking all that money and putting on the next one, and taking all that money and putting it on the next one, then what you are doing is you are minimizing your interest tremendously, and you're paying your debt off much faster, as opposed to just paying an extra $100 or $50 or $75 or $250 on each one of them. That process might take you 7, 8, 9, or 10 years to pay all of them off, whereas the debt snowball method is usually going to cut that time down to just a fraction of what it would have been.
Thank you so much. So I have one more question before we get to Q&A, but I know that you said you wanted to talk about the estate planning. Is that what I'm pronouncing it correctly? Do you want to go ahead and just take this moment and just talk a little bit about that so that our audience can hear your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. Well, thank you. Let me just say this. As African Americans, as Black women, first of all, we're the leading financial decision makers in our households. Black women make more financial decisions as an individual group, as an individual demographic than any other group of people on the planet. We also have more degrees. So we're the smartest people on the planet. We have more bachelor's degrees, PhDs, master's degrees, all of that than any other group proportionately. And we're making the financial decisions. More than 80% of the time, Black women, married or single, head of household or not, are making those financial decisions, compared to less than, I believe it's less than 70% for white women, less than 60% for Hispanic women, and less than 30% for Asian women. So we're making decisions and we're the smartest. Yet from a wealth perspective, African-American women are last in terms of net worth. The average net worth of a Black woman between the age of 35 and 50 is $1. $1. But we're the smartest and we're making the decisions. So guess what? We're responsible for that. And the number one place where we are losing our wealth. So in the past, there was a time when racism and redlining and not being able to qualify for things on our own, that was something that was happening at one time. But the number one thing that's preventing us right now from having wealth in our families for future generations and legacy planning is lack of estate planning. So we are often underinsured, and when we are insured, we don't have enough money to fund our trust. When we own homes, sometimes we have wills. Most of the times we do not, but we have a will or we don't have any estate planning at all. And either of those two invites creditors, invites everybody to the party. And what we should have is a trust. So we should put our real estate in a trust. We should put our life insurance proceeds in a trust. We should put our wealth in a trust, because when we put our wealth in a trust, when we pass on and or when we become incapacitated. So estate planning is not just for when you die. Estate planning is for when you are here and for whatever reason you may be unable to make decisions for yourself. An estate plan then says, this is what I want to happen. It's private. It doesn't go through probate, and we're able to keep more of the wealth that we have worked so hard for, that we've been stressed out over, that we have been crying about. We get to pass more of that wealth on. One of the biggest examples is Chadwick Boseman, our blessed, dear beloved Chadwick Boseman. When he passed without a trust. So his estate, which was worth about $3.9 million, had to go through probate, and probate means money. So if you pass on, and this is now about 9 out of 10 African Americans do not have their assets in a trust. His estate went through probate. So the probate got, I think, $1.3 million. Probate, the court system, the state didn't work for any of that. His wife got 1.15 and his parents got 1.15. So if we're giving away a third of our wealth, in many cases, or more, we're giving away a third of our wealth because we don't write the vision. And so I'm encouraging all of our families during this holiday season. People aren't getting gifts for Christmas. Let me tell you something, what they're going to get: a term life insurance policy, 2 savings account, 1 high yield, 1 regular savings account, a trust, right? An estate plan. a plan for your business. If we really, really start to, yes, and we're going to play Uno, we're going to play bingo, we're going to play some spades, we're going to play some bid whist. Yeah, that's going to be sweet potato pie around. There's going to be ham and greens and dressing and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to discuss wealth, and we're going to normalize it in our family so that we can really, really, truly give a gift that keeps on giving.
Thank you. That is very important. I know that conversation has come up in my household a lot, and oftentimes we don't want to have that conversation for whatever reason. And like you said, it's not just for when you die, it's also, for the living. And my mom and my dad are like, look, I know you might not want to have this conversation, but this is what we're going to have to talk about now, because often, there's situations like Chadwick Baldwin when they do pass and that conversation wasn't had. And so thank you for starting the conversation for that. I see that we have some questions coming in. I just want to wrap up with this question, because this is our sister circle, our virtual sister circle, and this is a space for Black women to come together and practice self-care and learn self-care and how to support one another in that same space. So sisterhood is deeply important to our community. How can women show up for each other in a meaningful way during the holidays, especially when someone is silently struggling?
So I think one way that we can come together is to have opportunities like this. I host a friends and family night. I used to do it, I've done it maybe once a quarter, but maybe now during this holiday season is a time to just have a Zoom and to invite either friends and family, the women in your circle, girls' night, whatever the case may be, and just to come to a safe place to have discussion. I think it's also a great time to just call in and check up on folks and say, hey, are you okay? And, the Holy Spirit gives us discernment. And sometimes we know something isn't right. And, we in some cases, we're kind of in a place, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to mind my own business. I'm not going to, mention anything. No, we should be speaking up. I don't want any friends around me who are not going to speak up if they discern that something is wrong. And even if I get mad, that's my problem. But your job and your issue or the love that we have for each other should be, I'm going to speak up anyway. I'm going to be that friend. I'm going to be that family member. I'm going to be that sister to say something, because I care more about you than I care about you not liking me because I said something. And so when we can start to have that conversation, but of course it also has to come from a pure place. I often say we can't be a block and a bridge, to Christ at the same time. We've got to choose one. So if we want to help someone, then it's a good idea to pray about that approach so that we don't come off as being judgmental or condescending, but really, really to offer and to extend a hand of compassion and empathy and mercy and compassion and grace to those who are around us who may be suffering because of job loss, relationship loss, some who are coping with aging parents, illnesses themselves, and to make ourselves available to the extent that we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Richardson. I don't want to hog all of your time. I'm going to go to the chat to see what questions
I have a question.
Sure.
If you have a job, like say you have a job like $17 an hour and stuff, how can you live on your own with that amount of wage?
You may not be able to live on your own with that wage. So at some point, I tell people you can have it all, but not at the same time. So people have asked me, well, Lynn, what would you do? I'm going to tell you what I would do. I would go live. Grandma B, rest in peace. She's not here. But if she was here and I was going through a tough time, I'd go live with her. So if I can't stay out extra late, or if there are rules I have to apply or abide by at our house or this, that, and the other, sometimes we have to decrease. Sometimes we have to soak it up a little bit. Sometimes we have to just say, you know what, right now I've got to do what I got to do because I'm going to stack my money. That also includes maybe I can move a roommate in, or maybe I can go, so there are other ways. But one thing we cannot do, they say you cannot get blood out of a turnip. If your bills are $5,000 and you only bring home $3,000, that's a problem. So what we've got to do is we've got to really, really pay attention to the math. Math is more dependable than people. Math is more dependable than numbers. I mean, than the weather. Math is numbers. It does not change. So when we look at the math, let's make sure that we adjust our lifestyle to fit within the math, and then do the things that we need to do. The second thing that I would say is then go, everybody needs a home-based business. Everybody needs multiple streams of income. One stream of income is hazardous to your wealth. And I remember saying this, I've been saying it for about 15 years, but I put out a post, it was sometime in July, and there were a lot of people saying, well, this is not for everybody. Some of us just want a job. Well, okay, how's that working for you? And I'm not trying to be a snippy, and I'm certainly not trying to be condescending, but the truth is the days of working on a job until we're 40, for 40 or 50 years, and then riding off into a pension and a sunset, those are over. So we should always be ready to pivot. We should always be ready to put ourselves in a position where we are able to earn income in additional ways. And the last thing I'll say to that is this: become the answer to a problem. You see, this Google Meets is the answer to a connection problem. Light is the answer to a darkness problem. A microphone is the answer to a volume problem. Every single thing that God created is the answer to a problem. You too are the answer to a problem. And when you learn how to use your skills and your talents and your gifts that God has given you to become the answer to a problem, you'll never have to worry about money. So what do we need to learn? Do I need to learn a new trade? Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to get some training? Do I need to go be an apprentice? Do I need to be do I need a mentor? Do I need to be mentored? Do I need a coach? Do I need to be taught? Whatever it is. But one thing I'm not going to do is stay down, because you cannot fail unless you quit. You cannot fail unless you quit. So as long as I'm breathing, I got another day. As long as I'm breathing, I have another opportunity. As long as I can wake up and I can breathe, then I have another opportunity. So I say, keep going. And I know you're tired. I was on food stamps, okay, in this century. So I'm not talking about something I don't know. I'm talking about a place that I've been. And when we talk about that peace that surpasses all understanding, I found my peace. I found my power. I found my protection when I was on food stamps. And all I had was my health, my strength, my husband, my children, and God. And from there was nothing to lose. So at that point, you just keep looking up and you keep going and you keep getting up. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Richardson. I have a question in the chat. What's the first step to establishing a trust?
The first step to establishing a trust is to write all of your assets, and everyone owns assets. Everybody, you have a bank account, you have a Cash App, you have, PayPal, you have life insurance, you own furniture, you have jewelry, you have vehicles, you may have intellectual properties, things that you've written, things. So the first thing to do is to write all of your assets. And while you are doing that, if you'd like, go to asklynn.org so I can give you the next steps to start your trust. One of the things that has been prohibited, especially for African Americans, or for anybody for that matter, in order to establish a trust, for some it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but you can at least get the paperwork started and file the appropriate paperwork in your state for just less than what it costs to throw a Christmas dinner. Okay, right? So you don't want the cost to be a burden. You want to get started. You want to start to write those things down. You want to start to have those tough conversations. And the truth is, you don't have to talk to anybody to have a trust. You can just write everything and it be private, and everybody knows when something it were to happen. I do recommend that you at least talk to your executor, your trustee, and the person who would serve as your healthcare power of attorney in case something happens to you and you want someone to speak on your behalf if you're in a hospital situation or medical situation. But yeah, go on to asklynn.org and I'll share those steps with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, do we have one more question for Dr. Richardson? Okay, well, Dr. Richardson, thank you so very much for blessing us with your conversation today. It's been very insightful, very enlightening, and everyone, as she mentioned, Dr. Richardson mentioned, go to asklynn.org if you have any more questions about financial management. We so appreciate your presentation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Perkins. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all. Merry
God
Christmas
bless you
and Happy New
too.
Year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Dr. Lynn. Pastor Lynn from Cali Worship. I'm a member too.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so we don't want you to go anywhere yet. We still have some one activity we just wanted to bring in. Let me get my screen up. Okay. So here at the California Black Women's Collective, we always like to end on joy. We always like to bring joy into the space. So we just have a joy practice, and I am going to bring up my colleague, Keisha Sexton, to lead us. As soon as I can find her on the screen, I'm going to pin her up here. There she is. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. All right, Keisha.
Yes, thank you so much, Karina, Dr. Richardson, and Dr. Perkins for that very powerful hour. I was so filled with gratitude to be in your company and to also learn from you. Today's joy practice is actually in line with what Dr. Perkins was sharing. I like to practice gratitude as a way of being stilled. And for me, it's really important to do it at the end of the day or at the beginning, but mostly the end of the day, to really reflect on what brought me joy. And since we all have our backgrounds, and since we all are in the season of holiday, we wanted to really take a moment to celebrate what is bringing us joy in this season. And so you can either share in chat or you can come off mute and just share. Maybe one or two people, if you want to raise your hand, and then I will call on you. And you can also respond in the chat as well. So tonight, what's going to definitely be at the top of my list is the lessons that I learned here today. Being in company with all of you is another thing that's bringing me joy. Is there anything that you feel called to share in what's bringing you joy?
Mm.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. What's bringing you joy to this season, Linda? And if you're speaking, we're unable to hear you. Oh, I see Margaret saying quiet moments in the chat. Charles is saying family. Karina, spending time with family. And I'm so sorry, Linda, if you're sharing, we're still unable to hear you. Any others would like to share what's bringing you joy? Oh, no worries. And I was also trying to unmute you, Linda, but unable to do so. But if you want to drop it in the chat, I would definitely read out your comment. Any others want to share what bringing you joy this season? Or what are you grateful for? Holiday decorations, family meals, gratitude. Joanne says gratitude, reflecting over the wins and spirit of it. And I still have joy and hope and eager anticipation. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
What's bringing me joy is the children and the family get together for holidays, and people's getting like homeless something for Christmas when homeless people got to go to the shelters and stuff. That's what's bringing me joy.
Yes, thank you, Lachelle. Appreciate you sharing. Dr. Perkins says joy is getting through even the hard times, definitely. And with that, I just want to just take a moment to thank everyone. Tracy, before I pass it to Karina, I see that you wrote family together, time together, watching my grandchildren's energy and happiness. Linda, thank you so much for commenting in the chat. What's bringing me joy at this moment is living out my dream of creating a legacy wealth builder birthday movement. And thank you again. Thank you everyone for taking time, for being here today, and also practicing joy with us by reflecting on the things that's bringing you joy and that you're thankful for this season. And with that, I'll turn it back to Karina.
Thank you so much, Keisha. Beautiful, beautiful question. Let's see. Okay. So before we wrap up today, I just want to go over a few announcements. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We have, let me get to my next screen. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So, here we go. Perfect. We have a Restful Resistance community WhatsApp chat. And this, you can scan this QR code, or you can also, we can put the link in the chat for you. This WhatsApp chat, it has our updates, any affirmations, we share community events and more. It's not just for the collective to share. We do open this to the community to share any updates or anything that you want to share that's going on, uplifting your sisters and any events that are happening in the area. You can be sure to upload them to this chat. Then we do have a membership with the collective. It's our sister circle where you can come and enter in a safe space where you can come be a part of Black women growing, leading, and thriving. As a member, you can gain access to powerful network, professional development opportunities, and exclusive resources that foster both your personal and collective impact. We would love to have you to join us. There are different membership levels, one that meets everyone's preference. And then last but not least, we do have a podcast called The Power Table. And in our new series, if you have not heard enough of the amazing Dr. Lynn Richardson, you can join us. In 2026, we will be starting our new series, The Power Table, focused on economic mobility. This is where money meets mission, merging practical financial education with cultural, spiritual, and systematic insight. It will be available on all streaming platforms. Our name is at California Black Women's Collective. So please be sure to subscribe to our channels and to get this, I believe it's a mini series, about 6-series conversation with our amazing President and CEO, Kelly Todd Griffin, and Dr. Lynn Richardson. All right, thank you all for joining. Have a very, very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We will see you.
Same to you.
Thank you so much.